going to begin with just a simple diagram to illustrate what the architecture looks like. So what we have is my laptop, a MacBook, and I'm running a VM in it, VirtualBox. And in VirtualBox, I have a NodeRED instance loaded and some other node modules, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. I have two accounts, IBM Watson IoT and AWS IoT. We'll describe how to acquire those accounts and provision them and set them up in another video. But one thing to notice here is the connections. There's a single connection on AWS IoT and dual connections on IBM Watson, as well as a node instance running on Watson. We'll talk about that in a couple slides. So just briefly, what you have with MQTT is a pub-sub type of model. And the broker is the agent that's running in the cloud that's maintaining what are called topics branches. So you would subscribe to a topics branch. For example, this would be humidity. And you could also publish to a branch. In this case, it's publishing to a branch on this router. Usually a device, for example, a sensor, will be publishing data, for example, humidity data. Or temperature data or whatnot. You can subscribe to multiple topics that are hosted by the broker or a single topic, and you can have multiple devices subscribing to the same topic branch and receive events. So on IBM, they're actually called commands if you're actually pushing down a command to the device. But it's going to be a little different on AWS and IBM from what I found. So if we wanted to contrast the two, both have very similar arrangements when you set up an MQTT broker on Amazon or IBM. Both have TLS, mandatory level encryption, and a certification process. Both offer device management, so you can manage the devices, and both are using the latest versions of the MQTT libraries. You have to open up a port 8883 on both for TLS to proxy through. And Amazon requires the use of certificates. So I'll show you how we installed that on that virtual machine. IBM, that's an optional parameter. So you can just use token authentication and that'll work. Amazon allows you to describe any type of topics branch. So I could create a topics branch called Amazon AWS or device or whatnot. On IBM, it's very prescriptive as to what that format looks like. And everything starts with an IoT-2, at least right now it does. On Amazon, anything can be a device. So you can have a PC, a gateway, a sensor, a Raspberry Pi. It doesn't matter. Anything can be a device. IBM, again, is prescriptive as to what the attributes or what the characteristics are of things using MQTT. There's apps, and apps are what are actually running on the IBM cloud on Watson. There's the device, which could be a sensor. It could be a Raspberry Pi, reporting CPU load or temperature data of the CPU. And that would be an endpoint device. Or they could be a gateway. Gateway is a subclass of the device. And these gateways are usually going to be a router or something that would host multiple devices underneath it, say a person area network or a Bluetooth mesh or whatnot. I mentioned that AWS is certificate-based. That's true. The authentication on IBM is going to be different. It's different per devices, and it's different for applications. So this is something you need to be aware of when you're setting up a device or an application or whatnot. And there are some additional caveats on a device that is publishing data, for example, sensor data, and also subscribing to commands. And there's a way you can get in trouble with that. So to prepare, you need an AWS account, an IBM account. You need NodeRED running on a laptop or a VM. In my case, I'm using a VM or a Raspberry Pi. I'd like you to install this node. It's called NodeRED Dashboard. It's for that dashboard line chart that I was using. And we'll also need to install NodeRED on IBM Bluemix in the Cloud Foundry app. So we will now go on to the next